Hello there. What is going on, everyone? Today we're asking the question, is it time for the triumphant return of Legends? The EU, the stuff we grew up with if you're past a certain age. If not, then it's the stuff maybe you've heard your old angry uncle talk about or something like that. But, the Legends of Star Wars. Star Wars EU, the expanded universe, what's called Legends now. All of the old stuff from the old books and the comics and the video games before the Disney takeover. Not necessarily trying to express preference for one or the other, but there are a lot of people who would love to see some of that old stuff show back up in Star Wars Legion specifically. And I think maybe because of the Black Series doing an awful lot more Star Wars Legends lately, we might have a shot at it. We're going to talk about this in today's video. Also, there's still a new round of the giveaway going on right now for a $25 Amazon gift card. You just have to be a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my videos if you want to, or one of my other videos if you want to have a chance to enter to win that. Also, big shout out to our latest A-Wing member on Patreon. That's going to be Andrew Tracy. So thanks for joining up and showing your support. We got more giveaways that are going to be happening on Patreon as well. We just did the big one on Monday where we did the big live stream and did a whole bunch more giveaways. We'll be doing more of those. If you missed that one, we gave away a whole lot of cool Legion stuff. So a lot of cool promos, Mandalorians, foil cards, all kinds of cool stuff. So and we're going to do more, and we're doing more on Discord and also on Patreon as well. And so if you're interested in either getting a shout out or having your name in the credits or getting cool stuff or Discord roles and all of that other cool stuff, early access to other stuff, it's all on Patreon. Links are in the description below. Let's talk about some cool stuff that we might see for Star Wars Legion. Now, I want to premise this with, of course, Black Series is made by Hasbro. Legion's made by Atomic Mass Games, which falls under Asmodee. So they're not the same company, but it is still LFL, Lucasfilm Limited, that's giving them rights, that's licensing these things, right? We have already seen Fantasy Flight Games with Star Wars Unlimited dip their toes into the Legends arena. Last year they did a whole bunch of Legends stuff and a Legends of the Force set. It did have not everything from Legends, but some things, especially specifically stuff from the Old Republic. In those Knights of the Old Republic games. And it's weird because the Old Republic kind of falls in this weird place where BioWare is still able to keep making stuff, and because it's so far back, it's not really impacting too many things that actually happen in canon. But I think a lot of people really want a lot of the stuff to return. And of course there was things where like Revan was supposed to come back in the Clone Wars, and a lot of things got changed, and there's definitely plans and wheels in motion. I'm sure something very cool is definitely coming in the canon timeline at some point, but we've kind of seen over time that while at first, back in like 2015, everything was like sequel trilogy, the new canon focus, the old EUs swept away. We saw this like X-Wing and Armada had a lot of the Legends stuff in them, things that had been pre-approved prior to the changeover, and so a lot of stuff from Legends existed. We even had we had some pretty deep cuts that were in X-Wing, and some of them started to show up in Armada as well, and those didn't quite make it over. There were even some things in Imperial Assault that had to get changed. I remember seeing when Imperial Assault came out, and then if you went back and watched some like early preview, like I think it was around the same time when they finally started saying, whoa, change this, take this out. Like basically the version that was like at Gen Con when they first demoed it had certain character names, and they had to be changed to generic character names, and Kir Kanos and stuff like that were actually supposed to be in that initially, and all kinds of cool stuff. So there was a big push to kind of sweep Legends to the side over a decade ago. In the time since, things have softened. I think they've realized there is still a huge market for a lot of this stuff. And I think a lot of these characters that we've started to see show up in the Hasbro Black Series could easily also show up on your Legion table at some point. Starting with Kyle Katarn. So I'm going to run through a list of a couple that I think would be particularly cool. Kyle Katarn made his way to the Black Series. Of course, Dark Force is our first video game character. It'd make another great Rebel Jedi also if we wanted to do that. There's a lot of different things that you could do with Kyle Katarn. You could also include Jan Ors. You could even give him some cool synergy with the Rogue One folks, and kind of have that be like a nod to how they both kind of stole the Death Star plans, right? Like depending on which universe you're at, and I'm fine with it being, different universes. Marvel Comics has different universes. There's different people that fought Thanos, and depending on which, if you watched in this comic or if you watched it in this movie and stuff like that. So like there's lots of different changes between universes, and that's okay. Legends is still a universe, right? So Kyle Katarn absolutely should show up, even though from a certain point of view he's kind of been overridden, with Rogue One and things like that. And there are some kind of cases where you feel like one character's identity has sort of been taken over by someone else in canon, and maybe not. It's cool stuff. Moving forward, Dash Rendar, another cool Rebel Han Solo-esque character. Of course, Dash Rendar, popular from the 90s. Shadows of the Empire book series, video games, a huge media push. Like, Shadows of the Empire was a very big deal. Zizor might also show up. Guri, all the other stuff from Shadows of the Empire could potentially show up. It would be really cool. I'd love to see it show up. I'd love to see the Outrider. We got Dash Rendar in X-Wing. We got Kyle Katarn in X-Wing too. We've got Jan Ors in Armada. We've got Dash Rendar in Armada. We've got a lot of this stuff is in all of these places. A lot of Shadows of the Empire stuff showed up in X-Wing. We've seen it before. It's been approved once upon a time. I think because regulations, restrictions have been laxed, I think they're more open to this type of stuff. This is just prime moneymaker stuff right here. So I'd love to see it. I think it'd be very, very cool. I think it'd be fun. Be a way to kind of lean into that. Although kind of similar to Han Solo as far as the character. He wasn't ever really maybe the best character, but he had big shoulder pads, and that was a big merchandising thing. I don't know why they gave him such big shoulder pads and why you need big shoulder pads like that in space. I think they were going for... This was also during a time, I'll point out, when his character was designed, was during a time during the Power of the Force release when the Star Wars action figures were kind of coming back into stores, and everybody was super muscle bound. Like Luke Skywalker looked like he could bench 700 pounds. Like, it was insane. All of the figures were like that, and I think his character design really fit that aesthetic. So interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff. All right, moving forward, we got Darth Malgus from Star Wars The Old Republic, the MMO. Now, this one is still a game that's still live. The servers are still live. They still get content. They still get expansions even and things like that. So I don't know if this one is strictly considered Legends or not, considering that it's BioWare's got that game still going, right? It's in that weird kind of gray area, but he's a cool character. He has a cool lightsaber. They had some of the greatest cinematics of all time in the lead up to this game. I remember playing this game on launch day. I was in a guild. We did PvP. We raided. We PvE raids, PvP, arenas, hitting max level right away, and just hitting that game hardcore when it came out. I loved that game. It was super cool, and they had great characters and had a lot of really cool stuff. And I guess a lot of people would love to see Old Republic stuff show up. I wonder, though, if they're going to do, Old Republic stuff like Malgus, how do they don't just put him in the Empire, right? But they could make him a mercenary that could work for the Empire. And maybe it'd even be a special rule of, an out-of-universe mercenary. It doesn't necessarily, have to make sense. If you're going to play out-of-universe, then you just open the door for, hey, this will just be fun because we're gaming, right? Is it okay if we just game and have a little bit of fun? Can we pull somebody out of time to put them on? I mean, you can kind of already do that, right? You can run Darth Maul in the Separatists at the same time that Ventress is in the Separatists. It's you can already do things. I mean, but it's a smaller scope. It's okay, that's only a few years versus 1,000 years or something like that, right? So I get it, but it's cool. And rule of cool being what it is, yeah, absolutely. More lightsabers is always a good thing. There's a lot of lightsabers on this list, by the way. More to come. More to come. Speak of the devil, how about my favorite guy, Sam Witwer? Oh, yes. Starkiller, folks. A lot of different versions of Starkiller they could do in this case, too. There's a lot of different costume options. I feel like there's a lot of really cool options to do, like a light side rebel aligned Starkiller and of course dark side Imperial aligned Starkiller. You could do both. It would be really, really fun. Of course, the Imperial one is going to look cooler, but I like the Rebel one better because it's Sam Witwer, and this was my introduction to the man, and I became a fan ever since. Definitely a Sam Witwer fanboy. So, and I happen to know that he enjoys painting Star Wars Legion as well. I don't know if he's played yet. Last time I asked him, it was a no, but they're great. They're great models, they're great miniatures, and I think he'd get a kick out of painting his own miniature, although I think he's definitely done that with Maul, right? And I talk about characters that feel like they've kind of been overwritten. I feel like Starkiller was from a time before Maul was actually brought back, and then once Maul was brought back and Sam Witwer was voicing him, it's just like, okay, you took a character that was really, really cool, and you were Starkiller, and then we put you into another character that was also really, really cool, and that is also very, very deadly, and that's Maul, and so, he kind of transitioned from... They have some similarities. They're not the same, but they have some similarities. I still would love to see Sam Witwer come back and actually be able to show his face on screen as Galen Merrick, as Starkiller. Good guy or bad guy, maybe somewhere in between, maybe a little bit of both. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it. But I'd also love to see it in miniature format for Star Wars Legion. Again, in a two-pack? That'd be really cool. Now, they're not only boys on this list. We've got Mara Jade on here as well. That's right. Look, I know that there's lots of memes out there of George Lucas, kind of saying no to Mara Jade over and over and over again. Again, she doesn't have to be canon, but I'd love to. Again, if we have it done like an out of universe or a just for fun, or like a multiversal kind of door between doors or something like that option to be able to pull a character in to a list. Even out of time, I'd love basically a TARDIS, like Doctor Who comes in, appears with the TARDIS, and drops off Mara Jade, and she fights with the rebels for a little while. She could also be the hand of the Emperor. Could also fight with the Empire. A lot of these characters really, really worked so well because they had a character arc, and they had, especially somebody who went from dark side again to light side. Like that's always a very popular thing. Like a redeemed villain who now fights for good. Super appealing. It's very, very cool, and it makes our own dark sides feel like there's hope for us, like there is redemption, there's a path to the light still, no matter how bad you've screwed up. And a Galen Merrick gives us that. So does Mara Jade. I'd love to see her in Star Wars Legion. Speaking of characters that have both dark side then light side stuff, how about Revan? Right? They also did him for the Black. All these characters they did for Black Series too. Very cool stuff. I think this one is number one on a lot of people's lists for like EU Legends kind of things to actually show up in Star Wars Legion. I think people would get an absolute kick out of painting him. And there's a couple of different looks you could do with him, but I happen to really be a big fan of the purple and red lightsaber, dual kind of combo. It's such a cool look. It's very, very wonderful, and especially with that like Knights of the Old Republic remake, it'd be a great time for them to do this. I would love a whole Legends box, or maybe a pack of like 2 Legends boxes. And you could take some of these characters. You could put Revan and Malgus and Starkiller in one, and then you could have like Mara Jade and Kyle Katarn and Dash Rendar in another one. Like that would be a really cool box. There's a lot of fun stuff they could do along those lines, and maybe they do even more. Let me know some of your thoughts. We do have one honorable mention as well. For inclusion, the Black Series did also Jackson. I don't particularly need this one on my Legion tabletop, but maybe somebody out there does. Maybe there's options for everybody, I suppose. But I do think it's going to be a bright and beautiful future if they do start doing that for Legion. It'd be really fun. Not to say that there aren't already a lot of really cool things, and especially with new shows and new movies and lots of new IPs and things in the works, there's plenty of really cool directions they could take Star Wars Legion. Lots of wonderful new things that are already announced, already coming. Mandalorians, air support, more Jedi, new Battle Force boxes, wet weather troopers and mud troopers for the Empire. Lots and lots of really cool stuff. Jedi on bark speeders. The list goes on and on and on. And so many things we've already gotten this year. Legion's in a really good spot. but I think it'd be super fun to have a little window into the EU. What do you think? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments section below. All right, that is going to do it for today's video. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Big thanks to my patrons. You guys are absolutely amazing. Thanks for all of our new patrons that have signed up. Again, Andrew Tracy, the latest A-Wing. Thank you so much for signing up. I will talk to you guys later. May the Force be with you. Live long and prosper. Be excellent to each other. Party on, dudes. So stay we all. And always wash your socks.